Hey guys, welcome back to Deep Dive Haunts podcast number 6. Tonight we are going to relive Beattie Mansion out of St. Joe, Missouri. Misty, Tanya, and Tim are here tonight. Kathy is out sick. Um, but everybody can say hi if they want. You can wave or whatever. Hello.
Hello.
Uh, Beattie Mansion was built in 1854 as the home for Armstrong and Eliza Beattie. Armstrong was the city's first banker and became a mayor in 1857. Popularity led him to be reelected 4 more times. He ended up dying in 1878 after dealing with cholera, and I think it was like his second round of cholera. Um,
Yeah.
and then Eliza ended up passing away 2 years later. She had fallen down the stairs, was it? And then was bedridden for the 2 years after that. In 1872, the Ladies Union Benevolent Association acquired it and called it Home for the Friendless. It provided shelter for the area's homeless and distressed population and was the area's first orphanage. In the first month, 18 people moved in. Um, these ladies, oh, wait, several were mothers with children rumored to be from the 80 brothels that were in the town of St. Joe. They were sometimes pregnant, would end up out on the street with a newborn with no place to go. In 1892, the newspaper reported a death of a 4-year-old that they call Mabel Iden at the home, surrounded by her playmates. In 1895, the house was converted into a memorial home for the aged. During the next 100 years, there were hundreds of residents who made it their final earthly home. While um, why some of the spirits remain, we can only wonder as we continue to investigate. In 95, the Luba needed more modern facilities and ended up moving into another location. It was used temporarily as a group home for the mentally ill and substance abuse, and it was also a frat house for a short time. In 2004, the current owner bought it and was planning to turn it into a bed and breakfast, but during renovation attempts, um, due to the paranormal activity, the numerous workmen um, refused to do any more work, so that ceased. So then they just opened it up to paranormal investigations. Um, the original house had also been added on to another wing to mimic the first wing with connecting hallways. And then there is a basement that leads on forever. It goes back into an old carriage house area where the horses were kept and all of that stuff. So it is a really big um, building to investigate. The current overseer that does the tours and things, she's really doing a lot to get it back to um, kind of what she feels was good for that time era, and feels that she gets led to do certain rooms in certain ways from the spirits. Eliza is very prominent in the house. We actually had a lot of interactions with her when we were there, which was pretty cool. Um, but we'll get into all of that stuff here in a moment. I don't, is there anything else in the history? Oh, the history that I just read to you is from the BeattieMansion.com website. Um, was there anything, Misty, that
No, you pretty much covered it, what I saw as well. There's not a ton of information besides what you've looked up so far.
I know there's been a lot of paranormal teams in there. There's been a lot of um, ghost tube investigators in there. There's YouTube investigators that have been in there and stuff like that. And yeah, so it was pretty interesting. But uh, Tim, do you want to go ahead and start in on some of the things that you remembered or personal experiences? We can start. Where do we want to start? Do we want to start upstairs? Do we want to start main floor?
It doesn't matter either one. So
We'll
I remember Misty and I were in Armstrong's room, and you and Tanya and Kathy were in Eliza's room. And we were in there, and we could hear, Misty and I could hear voices and stuff. We thought we heard, what we heard was a piano, or you heard like a xylophone or piano music. If I remember right, Misty did. When I go
Yeah.
back, when I go back and review the evidence, I actually hear the whistling of a shave and a haircut. I caught it on my camcorder.
That's
So
awesome.
the sound you were hearing was actually Armstrong, I think, trying to connect with us while Eliza was connecting with you in her bedroom. So that was a very interesting one as far as that. I mean, it's a pretty cool EVP, actually. I don't remember hearing the whistle, and Misty remember hearing musical tones. So that was actually something we did catch. Another thing was interesting. What didn't a girl hang herself on the stairwell in there? Have you ever
Yeah,
seen that?
Yeah.
over on
Uh,
the news side.
yeah, she
Yeah,
hung herself in the second floor stairwell.
yeah,
So we tried to investigate that area. As far as upstairs, also with that, the new addition across from to the west, or however you want to say it, we got the odor of lilac when we were in the hallway. It was real strong lilac smell. Misty and Kathy and Tanya were interacting with a lady in her room. They made her bed for her and stuff like that. And that was a good interaction that they had. So that at that same time, right after that, we started smelling lilacs really strong in the hallway. So you're in a musty old building, the carpet's dirty and musty smelling, but you smell this lilac. That was a very interesting moment too, because that I wish we had a way of, hey, we got a device here that smells odor. Maybe I should
Yeah.
right.
maybe I should create something that does that. Maybe I should look into. Hey, let's
Maybe
make
you
this.
should look into it.
You never know.
Or yeah, for sure, because
Yep.
it's really hard to um, validate those, except for that all of us smelled the lilacs, like we
Correct.
all
Yeah.
smelled it.
Correct.
But yeah, if you could, if there was actually a device out there where you could detect odors, like
Yeah.
that would be
And what the odor is. Tell you what the
yeah.
odor is. Like a voice. Maybe I
Mhm.
should run as one of these people that make ghost stuff. Say, hey, got an idea.
Yeah, yeah, that would be a pretty cool device, and I think that would be pretty popular on
It
the
would.
paranormal circuit for sure,
It
for
would.
sure. I also know, I think it was when we were up on the second floor. It was you and I, so we were over in the old part, while the other three were over in the new part. Um, but on the recording, there is actually bells. Like
Yeah.
you could hear what sounds like bells in there. Um, and I think it was when we were outside Eliza and Armstrong's rooms in the hallway there. Because that was when you were actually seeing something in white in her room.
Mm.
It was during that point. Um, and then there was another part where there is a whistle that is caught. Um, there is a
Okay.
whistle that is caught, and then you start your EVP session. So I thought that those were pretty cool. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Um, Misty, what are some that pop out to you?
Um, honestly, when you go in, you hear noises throughout the house. We did debunk quite a few, but there were times when nobody was in the house that you would hear talking.
Mm.
And I think we all heard the male voice talking in the hallways at some point in the night. Um, There's also a room. I All I remember about the room, wasn't that the one with the mirrors in it?
Mhm.
Yeah, the one
It
room.
was the one. It's like they called it the portal room.
Yep.
Yes.
That room had something interesting in it. And honestly, it didn't affect me as much as it affected everybody else because I walked into it and saw it and was like, okay. But you guys were actually up close to it and saw more of it than I did. So
Mhm.
I think it'd be better for Tim to really explain what he saw.
So that's on the main floor on the addition side. Back in the corner, they got a room that has like dressers in it and mirrors on all the
Yeah.
walls inside there. So when you step inside, you're surrounded by mirrors on every direction. That room, I saw something poke its head out of that room. It was dark and it showed me kind of a green eye look and it startled me and I stepped back and I'm thinking, what did I just see? And I kept looking and it showed its head again. And so everybody else was coming down the stairs on the backside from the second floor. We all got to bottom of the stairs. Brenda and I went closer to the room trying to figure out what I had seen, what was there. And the closer we got, of course, you could feel a presence or an energy that was there in that room. It was staring at us from inside. Misty walked up then behind us and goes, "Hey, Tim, this thing isn't human. Whatever it is isn't human." Brenda and I kept advancing toward the room. We got inside. We stuck our heads in the door. We walked into the room. You're still surrounded by mirrors. The room was pitch black. I mean, you could barely see a mirror in that room. It was so dark in there. And then behind one of the mirrors is a window. And then eventually you could start seeing the light from outside come through the window. I don't know what that was, but usually when an entity shows you its eyes, it's trying to progress itself to say, "Hey, I'm here. Here I am. Come see me," whatever. It's like an enticement. And so I learned over the years to be cautious, be careful, attach slowly, move in slowly. And all you guys being with us is a big help because you can tell me what I'm trying to look at or investigate or it wasn't right. And then the next room to that, I think they called it the creeper. You know what
Mhm.
they called
Yeah.
it? And that creeper there, so I'm wondering if that's what we saw was the creeper that's in that room that this
I
lady
think so.
described to us when she was giving us the tour of the building. But yeah, you go in that mirror room, if anybody does scrying, I wouldn't recommend it, but a lot of people do. They do scrying in mirrors, so there might be some activity in there. If we ever go back, that'd be somewhere I'd like to walk back into or go back into to try to figure out exactly what it was I saw. We don't have anything on camera. We don't have any evidence of it, unfortunately, which happens a lot because these entities are pretty smart. But
I do know when you walked on into that room, um, I actually felt like an electric buzz go through me.
mhm,
So I think as he went in and progressed in there, then it decided it was going to flee and
mhm,
it ended up passing through me or right by me enough that I felt that electricity. And
sure,
then the room lightened back up and you could see all the mirrors again.
sure, sure, no,
So,
I know
yeah.
Tanya had an experience in that room, and I don't know if she can talk right now or not on it. Can you talk right now?
I think she's having some
Probably.
internet issues.
I remember she couldn't get through the door. She got
yeah,
like
Yeah,
frozen.
that was in the creeper's room. She went to
right,
step in, and as she stepped in, she said she felt something push her foot back out.
sure,
Hmm.
Yep, yep.
And she just couldn't get, and I couldn't go in that room. I just was like, I'm not going in there. It just,
mm,
that kind of almost like a field to go through it. You know what I mean?
Mhm, mhm.
yeah. There's a little
So,
bit of negativity in there, so
yeah.
Yep. And oh, that's me. I'm on the thing. But hi, hello, welcome in. Um, but yeah, so um also on that side is a stairwell. Tim mentioned about the
I'm
girl that
trying to Yeah, I can. I'm at work right now, so if I have.
Okay. Yeah, she's having a lot of issues. But anyway, the the girl was teased a lot by a couple of guys that were, basically telling her she was like no good and this and that and the other, and go ahead and just kill yourself and get it over with, and all of this other stuff. And so that's what she ended up doing. She hung herself over the banister, um, and that was a creepy stairwell to
Yeah.
say the least. And it was
It
creepy.
felt off.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess after she did it, the guys were like laughing, and then one guy laughed so hard and whatever that he ended up um, peeing himself. Do you guys remember that? Her saying that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting for sure. Anything else over on that side that we're oh, the George, the one guy that had the in room that they said he was like a grumpy old dude.
Hmm.
We did have interaction in that room a little bit.
The soldier?
No, well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Did figure out he was a soldier or something.
Because Tim and I was in there, and I know you guys went in there as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, he was just like a grumpy Gus. But I think that maybe in life he was misunderstood, or maybe he was just didn't really wasn't people friendly, or maybe he didn't know how to react to people's interactions, or maybe he was just super lonely and he figured instead of um, or missing somebody a lot, and so instead of doing the I'll try to get along because I don't want anybody else to leave my life, that he would just would become grumpy and just do it that way. So
I think that Tanya learned that he was hard of hearing on Ron's right side. He couldn't hear, or something, had a defect on his hearing.
Yeah, he was hard of hearing from gunfire or something, if I'm remembering what he had said. Sorry, I'm standing at the front of the store now where there's a window.
Hmm.
So, yeah, he was hard of hearing. I believe it was on his right side. Because when we were on the right side of the bed, the response wasn't as clear
Mm.
as when we would stand to kind of walk to the left side of the bed.
Sure.
It was different. But he really wasn't very chatty. He was more of a "girl, get out of my room."
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, we do get a couple of grunts and like on the recordings from his room, like he was like, just get out. I think when you and I walked in that room, Tim, um, we felt something. Was it like the electricity? Almost
Mm.
like he darted out of the room when we first walked in there. I don't remember
Yeah.
exactly what it was, but there was something because it had to do with that lamp right inside of his room.
Correct.
And I don't remember exactly what it was, but something happened when we first walked in there, and he was like, "I'm out."
Correct.
But then he ended up coming back in,
Hmm.
and we got a little bit from him. So, let's go back over on the original part of the house, sitting on the second floor. Um, Tanya had a lot of interactions with Eliza, um, talking with her we had Spirit Talker running, but Tanya was actually communicating with her a lot. And I brought up the point where it was a frat house. And
Oh, yeah, no. No.
Eliza went berserk and started saying, things of like being disrespectful. And she was not a happy camper that house got turned into a frat house for sure.
No. No. I was trying to keep up as she was rambling. It was just no good, no good, all bad, all bad, all bad. Why are there glasses on the stand? Why was there a frat house? Why were they partying? No. Why are there glasses on the stand? And then she kept going about the frat house, and it was just like, But before Eliza would talk to me, I had to cover the mirror.
Yeah.
That was the first thing she said, cover the mirror. So I had to go grab a shawl, cover the mirror, and then she was more than open to talk about anything and everything, except her opinion on the frat house.
Well, she opened her opinion on that too. Just it was not a good thing. So I had apologized. I apologized to Eliza. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get you riled up. Let's talk about other things. So we had gotten into a couple other areas that we were talking to while we were in there. We did an SLS session, and in the room next door to Armstrong's room, which was a connecting room, I think that was like his sitting room or closet or something. But when we were doing the SLS, Tim was mapping out the room, and he went up to the ceiling and it mapped something out. And he goes, that's just the ceiling fan. And then he went over on the ceiling fan more, and then it really mapped the ceiling fan. And then he went back to figure out that it wasn't the ceiling fan that was being mapped. There was actually something on the ceiling, like on the ceiling fan, moving around, and then it like disappears. So that was pretty interesting. In that area as well, in the hallway, there are a bunch of orbs that are constantly moving. Like you can watch their security cameras, and you can just see all these orbs just moving every which direction. It is crazy. The amount of activity that's just like right there in that concentrated little place. Did you guys, Misty, Tanya, did you guys do anything with the working women's room on the second floor?
We tried. Misty and I
What
tried it.
What was the response you got there? Anything?
No,
Nothing.
there was minimal, very minimal. There was, I believe at one point we heard what sounded like feet dragging through the room, like step drag, but there was, other than that, there was nothing. That room was dead quiet.
Yeah.
As I say, I know when we were down there, we didn't get much either. Although there is a loud thunk that we caught, but nobody mentioned it. And then a little bit later on, there's several more thumps that we caught that nobody mentioned, so we didn't hear it at the time. So that was interesting. Tim and I were sitting down at the end of that hallway, and we were focused down the hall towards Eliza's room. And I saw what looked like a black shadow pop out of the doorway, pop out, like, what are you doing? And then go back in. And at the same time, I'll let you say what you saw. At the same time, I saw that shadow pop out.
Well, the security light down there by Eliza's room is up near the floor, and it's just a security light for the building. I saw that light go out and go back on and go out and go back on. So at the same time Brenda was seeing this shadow pop its head out the door, I was actually seeing that light disappear, go off and on. So that was validation between the two of us. We were both seeing something down that hallway toward Eliza's room. So that end of the hallway where their bedroom is, there's a lot of activity. They also talked about a little ways closer to us where we were at was a water fountain. And they say there's a portal by the water fountain. So we tried to figure out just exactly how that was working. You walk by it, supposed to get dizzy, you feel disoriented, stuff like that.
Mhm.
I don't think we were able to debunk that, nor could we prove it. That was actually happening. But then that hallway where Armstrong and Eliza's room is a very active part of that building. Those two
For
still
sure.
exist there. They're still in that building. It's their
Yeah.
home. It's where they lived, and I think they'll always be there no matter what. So yes, we did see that. It was so two people saw the same thing. That was pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, it was cool because he's like, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, "The shadow," and he goes, "No, the light went out." And I'm like, "I saw a shadow come out the doorway." It was that was pretty interesting. It was cool. Um, when we were in the rec room up there on the second floor, it wasn't like super active, but it seems to me like there was some things going on. Did we hear stuff in the hallway when we were in? I don't remember.
Yeah, we did. When we were in the rec room, we heard it in the hallway, like something was moving around. There were other rooms up there too that we didn't really go into too much. We kind of looked in and poked around, but we didn't go into them too much off that rec room. But like chairs sliding, it sounded like chairs moving, something going across the table. Yeah, we did hear that same stuff. As far as that goes, we never saw movement, but we could hear it. Yes.
Um, I will say it did kind of sound. It seemed like anytime we moved from room to room, it seemed to be moving away from us.
Correct.
So you would hear those sounds in different rooms when he moved into different rooms.
Correct.
Yeah, we did pop into Mabel's room.
Mhm.
We didn't get a lot in there, but it
Mhm.
was late when we went in there.
Mhm.
Maybe she just wasn't roaming at that point. Where maybe if you go in like earlier, you might get more interaction. You got to think about it. She was
4 years old.
4. So,
Mhm.
if you go in there 11, 12, 1 a.m., she's probably sleeping. So, not much activity. So it would be interesting to go back in like earlier, um, when like maybe she still would be up, type of thing, to see what is going on there. Um, anything else up there on that part of the room or that part of the house?
We did go into a. Did we go into a children's room and sit in a children's room for a while? Is that Mabel's
Yeah,
room you're speaking of?
Mabel. Yeah.
Yeah, that was hers.
Okay. I can't remember if that was what it was called. Okay.
I remember feeling like there was a breeze that went through that room constantly.
Yeah.
And I will say, um, my cameras messed up so much in there that I thought I was recording and I wasn't recording. And when I thought I wasn't recording, I was recording. Could be user
Mhm.
error, not even going to lie. But my cameras wouldn't hold a charge. They wouldn't charge. I had all sorts of issues. And Misty, isn't that where you and Kathy's cameras flipped
Yeah,
upside down?
yes. Kathy actually came to me first before I even turned mine on, and she's like, "Look at my camera. I don't understand," because she had previously used it and it was fine. And she said all I did was take out the memory card to put it in so she could download all the video from the last time. And she said she even turned it on before she came to look at it to make sure it was charged. Put it in, packed it, brought it, and then the first thing happens, the image is reversed. And
Correct.
I'm like, okay, so we went to you because you had the same thing happen, and I don't think you remembered how to do it, so we kind of bumbled through it and figured it out.
It just, when it happened to me, it was like that. And then all of a sudden, like after 5 minutes, it flipped back on its own. I didn't do anything.
We did find a way to do it ourselves, and I hope it
Yeah.
doesn't happen again because it was hard to remember how to get there in the first place. But
But
um, After I got hers fixed, I went turned mine on, and same thing. It was flipped as well, which I had tested it before I came out, and it was doing fine as well because I took my SD card out. I powered it on, looked at it before I left, and it was fine then. So I don't know what it was about that place, but it did kind of mess with our equipment a bit.
It did.
Okay, so we'll move back down on the first floor. By the way, I don't think any place in there is safe. I don't even think the bunk room is safe because when we were in the base camp room,
Yeah.
we actually caught an EVP in there. Like us girls were talking, and then we stopped talking, but then there's another female voice that comes through. Don't even know how that happens. So I don't think any room in that place is actually safe. I think there would be interaction everywhere in there.
Sure.
Us girls had left to go get food, and Tim was there setting up cameras, and he was chilling out in the. If you guys have never been there, they have like a kitchen, and they have like 8 tables set up in there, which is really
Mhm.
nice.
Mhm.
And he was, getting things set up, and he was in there sitting there just kind of waiting on us to come back. And he experienced a few things, which I will let him talk about.
Well, so that Missy you mentioned earlier, we heard a lot of noises in that building, a lot of bang, thumps, so forth. We debunked some, but I was sitting there by myself, and literally out in the hallway, there's a long hallway out beside that dining room. You could hear like a big, like somebody dropped a 2x4 on the floor. So I went out in the hallway to look. There's nothing out there. I go back out of that hallway. As soon as I go back in that dining room, I start hearing bangs again in the hallway. So I go back out in the hallway, looking around. So I walked around a little bit, didn't see anything. So I went back in this dining room, and sure enough, every time I left that hallway, we get loud. There'd be bangs and thumps, sound like somebody running. So I decided I'm going to be sneaky. I'm going to go down here and come out this other door in this hallway, see if something was there. Well, Kathy had set up a tripwire at the end of that hallway. We was hoping to catch kids running around in there. So I decided to go down there. I come out that hallway and I stood there for a little bit, and it was quiet. And so I walked completely down the hallway back into our base camp. As soon as I got in our base camp, there was noises in the hallway again. And Misty's right. It's just like where we went, they go somewhere else. It's like they were following us or just running from us as far as that goes. So that place is really active. I was in there setting up cameras all by myself, and there was just thumps and bangs and knocks the whole time. Well, that's one of the things the tour guide had told us, that this happens constantly. But that one, I could have swore you took a 2x4 and just slammed it on the floor. It was that loud in that building. The activity in that building is amazing. It truly is. Oh yeah, and don't open the middle door in that middle hallway by the bathroom. It's got a creepy head hanging on the inside of the closet.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody
Yeah.
remembers that?
Unless you like an Oh Jesus
Don't look
moment.
at
It's actually a
that.
mask
Anyway,
from somewhere,
yeah,
Yeah.
somebody
African
left it
mask
there.
or
Yeah,
something. Yeah. Um,
but that
but
building is active. So
yeah,
go ahead.
when we came back with the food and we were sitting in the dining room, we were hearing the thumps and bangs that he had been hearing. He's like, that's what I've been hearing
Yeah,
the entire time you guys were gone. Like we were
correct.
hearing, and we would get
Yeah.
up to go out and look, and yeah, we
Nothing.
just couldn't find anything. And we had come out, we were going to go over to the new building. And as we came out, Kathy's tripwire went off, and there was like nobody down there. And he had a camera set up down on the other end. So I thought maybe that, like, by me stepping on that cord, that maybe it set off the tripwire. Um, but that was like the one and only time that it happened at that point of the night. So, um,
Yeah, it didn't go off the whole time I was all by myself. That trip never went off, but the noises were in the hallway constantly. That'd be something to
the
watch out for if you go there.
yeah, for sure. The big parlor room across from the base camp room, um, Tanya, did you go in there by yourself? I think she's got a customer, but
Which room?
the parlor room with the moose head.
Yes, I did.
Did you experience anything in there while you were in there by yourself?
Just a second. Thank you, sir. Have a good night. We'll see you later. I didn't experience anything. It was calm, but I was in there. Amazon.
Really?
Water boy.
I know.
Okay.
I looked down like,
Okay. Getting comments on my jersey. It's water boy. There was right. I had absolutely nothing in that room. I could feel things. Like I could feel presence. I could feel somebody sitting beside me. I could feel somebody standing beside me. I sat. I moved couches. I moved chairs. I walked around the room. I took my time. I could feel things, but I couldn't see things and I couldn't hear anything. There was no activity at all except for you could feel, like I said, the presence of somebody there, but they weren't letting themselves be very known.
Misty, did you go in?
Yeah, I know when I went in there, I didn't stay in there for very long. I just kind of did a little sweep around the room, and it did feel like something was in there, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't really pick anything major up. Just felt like there was something like trying to stay away the whole time I was in there. So I left. I had that kind of feeling throughout the night, though. Like I kind of got pushed out of rooms and stuff. So it kind of felt the same way to me. But they kind of liked her a lot when we were there, so they kind of attached to her and tried to talk to her and tried to stay close to her. But like I said, it was when I went up to stuff, like I went up to the Armstrong's room, I got basically bounced out of that room. I felt like I backed out as soon as I went in. I felt like I wasn't allowed to be in there. Like it was going into my parents' room when I was a child or something. I just didn't want to be in there. And it
that was
felt like that was. Go ahead.
no finish.
I was just saying that was just like some of the places in that place. That's how I felt like I got pushed back, and I was fine with that. But if that's how they wanted to treat it, that was fine. But like like I said, she got like a different treatment. So it makes sense that when I went in the room, I felt like stuff was staying away from me. But for her, it felt like they were pretty much ganging up on her.
Yeah, all I was going to say, and that happened to you while we were on the tour. We
Mhm.
hadn't even started the investigation yet because we had walked in there into that room. Oh, another tidbit, because this is going to come into play here in a minute. Another tidbit of information that I forgot to mention. Um, Armstrong Beattie was actually a slave owner. When he didn't use his slaves, he rented them out to other prominent men to use during parties or whatever. And that actually becomes a thing because we're going to talk about going down into the basement, which was the slaves' quarters. And we'll get into that. But is there anything else from the first room, first floor, that you guys remember, want to hit on?
I don't think
That
so.
stood out? No?
Mm.
No? Okay.
I can't think of it.
Okay. So we are going to pop down the stairs into the basement. And in the basement, there is a big kitchen set up with huge freezers. One was a really old freezer. It was actually had wood around it. There was a room that had sewing machines and laundry equipment. There was some rooms, which would have been where the slaves slept when they were there. Also, they were rooms for like when it was the halfway house, so to speak.
Mhm.
You go through the room where the laundry and stuff swing was. You open a door and there's like a long hallway, a really long hallway. Go back a little bit. There's a boiler room. You go on down and then you turn a corner and there's another room and like an old office. And then you go into another big room and then back under some piping is where the carriage table was. So it's like there's a lot in this basement.
It was.
But yeah, but we sat in kind of like a open common area. It had a piano in it, and there was like a picnic table and stuff. And we sat down there. We had 3 spirit talkers running. Um, did you have spirit talker running, Tim?
I don't think so. I think you guys all had yours on.
So Misty, Tanya, or Misty, Kathy, and I all had spirit talkers going.
Mhm.
Tanya was relying on her mediumship skills and was concentrating on talking to them that way. And what was coming, like we would ask questions, and the answers that came up on all 3 of our devices were different answers, almost like 3 people were talking. So, like, Misty had one conversation going on, I had a conversation going on, and Kathy had a conversation going on. They were all asking different, like, they would ask us different questions. Um, and there was one, I think they asked to play music. So I hit some piano keys. I'm not a pianist, I don't do very good at it. And I think they actually said stop or something like they didn't like I told you I can't play. But anyway, what hang on. I know I asked down there how many slaves Armstrong Beattie had because it was documented he had 13 and a half, right? 12 and a half. Because 12 and a half, because
Yeah.
there was a lady that was pregnant. Um, documented 12 and a half. But when I asked the question, the answer popped into Tanya's head, which I believe she said 27. Was that
Yes.
right? 27. Um, I later asked again up in Eliza's room how many slaves he had, and the same answer came through of 27. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Mm.
Not that he had that many slaves, mind you, but that there was validation in 2 different areas of the house stating how many he actually did have versus what was documented. What do you got for there, Tim? You did an Estes in the boiler room.
Yep. Yeah, we did. We connected with a young man. I don't remember what his name was, but he was like 17 years old. We were getting communication with him through the Estes method. He was there. I think he was there. It seems like he was sold to Beattie, I remember right, or something to that effect, and he wanted to leave, or he couldn't leave, or I can't remember exactly how it went. But we connected with him for quite a while in that boiler room. I don't remember what his name was now. I don't recollect. So
Mhm.
I don't know if I have that wrote down.
Is that Carl?
Carl,
No, Carl's the
Yeah.
handyman.
yeah, he
We'll
was a
talk.
maintenance guy. Yeah.
We'll talk about Carl in a minute.
Trying to think of because yeah, no, that okay. I'm trying to remember names. There's so many.
Yeah, there are.
Oh, I didn't write down his name.
Okay.
So, but there are in that long hallway I was talking about. There are actually shoes that are left from the residents that are still down there that like nobody ever picked up and cleaned.
Yeah.
And I mean they're nice, like leather patent shoes. They're nice. They're like Sunday best, Sunday dress shoes.
Yeah.
Um, we really didn't explore that hallway too much um, beyond the boiler room. We did hang out in the laundry / sewing room, and Armstrong had the slaves using those sewing machines to make Confederate
Yep.
uniforms,
Right.
right?
He was a Confederate sympathizer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the reason why he had slaves, and yeah, he had them doing that. What else did we have happen in the basement?
We really didn't do much more in that hallway because we got the invitation of the bat. So
Invitation of the what?
the bat. Remember the
Oh
bat
yeah, the
flying in the
bat. Yeah, the
hallway?
bat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, we had
lo and
the
behold, the bat. There's always bats, everybody. There's always bats. You can
Yeah.
guarantee it. There's always bats. There's always bats and a creeper.
Yep, every time.
Pretty much any location, there's going to be a bat and a creeper.
That's for sure.
Whether the creeper has a name or not, there's a creeper.
Yeah.
I know we went into Carl's room for a little bit, and let's hit on. Hi out there, welcome in. Let's hit on Carl for a moment. So on our tour, the tour guide, bless her soul, she's as sweet as pie. But she kept talking about Carl, the handyman, doing all of this work
Mhm.
around the place, and everything. And so I'm thinking, okay, it's a legit guy. He comes in and he does maintenance work. That's cool and dandy. And
Yeah.
they have a dumb waiter that went from the upstairs kitchen to the downstairs kitchen, and it has a buzzer, and the buzzer didn't work. And then all of a sudden one day it started working, and
Mhm.
she goes, "Oh yeah, he fixed it." And I'm like, "Okay, well that was cool." Um, so we're downstairs, mind you, this is the tour, so it's earlier in the day. We're on the tour and we walk in. She goes, "Yeah, this is where Carl's room is." And I'm like, "Your handyman sleeps on property?" I'm like, okay, like whatever. I find that kind of creepy, but if he's okay with it, whatever. We walk in this room, and this room has absolutely nothing in it. There's a bed, a small dresser, and a chair. There's like no personal belongings, like nothing to say that anybody actually stays in there. And
There
I look
wasn't
at
even
her,
sheets.
yeah, yeah. And I look at her and I go, "I thought you said Carl stays in here." And she goes, "Oh, he does." I said, "Are you telling me Carl's not real?" And she goes, "Oh, no, 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 no. He's a ghost."
Yep.
I'm like, "Well, you could have let off with that upstairs, because I'm thinking you're talking." And I told her, I said, "I'm thinking you're talking about a legitimate person.
Correct.
And here you are." And she goes, "I've never met him. I don't know him. It's not documented anywhere. I just call him Carl." And I was like, holy bejeebers. Like, that was insane.
It was.
So what do you guys got for Carl? I now wonder if maybe what sounded like the 2x4 that you was hearing, maybe Carl was doing work and he
Could have
was
been.
moving a board and it fell. You know what I
Could have
mean?
been.
So maybe when we go back, we can elaborate on that a little more and be like, "Hey,
Mhm.
Carl, is that you? Are you trying to fix something? Do you need help?" And maybe see if he'll
Good.
interact that way.
That's good. That's a good possibility. Also, didn't the tour guide, didn't she tell us something about they were in Florida and he fixed a leaking pipe?
They
Yes,
were
yes, yes.
they were getting ready to leave to go on vacation, and he warned them about flooding in that downstairs kitchen,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
they fixed it before they left. But yeah,
Yeah, I knew there was something like that.
yeah. So she's got a connection with Carl that's pretty strong.
Yeah.
She's very much invested in that house.
Good.
for sure, 100%. She's very much invested in that house. Um, but again, she is super sweet. I can't even remember her name, but she is super sweet.
Her and her husband both were there. And
And
when you and I, Brenda, we were down there just taking pictures because I like to take pictures of everywhere that I go. We were in the basement. We were walking around with just a camcorder. I think we both had one. And right before we went upstairs, I heard a real loud crash, and I turned around and looked toward that piano, but I didn't see what it was. It may have been coming from back there by Carl's room or something.
It might have
Until
been because there's another room
yeah,
right outside of Carl's room
correct.
too.
Yeah, we couldn't get through the door. Exactly.
Yeah, we couldn't go in that one; it was locked. But
Correct.
her name is Mary Ann, and she
Oh,
really is a nice lady. She
I
really,
like to,
truly,
yeah. I'd like to do more going back to where the stables used to be, go back in that hallway, and
yeah,
get back in that room.
yeah,
Go ahead.
I'll tell you what. So, you know how she took us down that room and she started talking to us about the history of the stables and stuff and how it got blocked off. So she took us to that back part and then walked us through. So Kathy, I usually have Kathy in front of me because in case she falls, I want to at least be there so she's not left behind and fall on her own or something. And I follow right behind her and she gets out of that room because I mean it is dirt floor and everything back there.
mhm.
So we get out and she's still standing there with the door open and talking like, "Are you gonna come? Come
Yeah,
on."
yeah,
Yeah.
And I asked her, I said, "Who are you talking to?" And she goes, "Isn't that your friend still in there?" And I look in there, no, we're all out. And
Mhm.
she's like, "Oh," and she just closes the door and just turns around and walks off, doesn't say another word about it. Because
Correct.
I knew right then that whatever was in that room bothered her. And it
Okay.
did kind of feel a little off when we were sitting there because she the way she was she was trying to get whoever was in there to come out because she was like, "Come on, hurry." She didn't want to be in there. She wanted them out, not in there by themselves. So I knew that room was probably one that kind of bothered her a little bit.
and
And
the
I felt that.
and the creeper might actually go down there too because that's under where
Yeah.
that stable goes out
Good.
or
Yeah.
that carriage house. That's under like the creeper's room.
Well,
So
that would make sense because
he might hang out down there.
it was a heavy room, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like I know even Kathy looked at me and was like, I don't want to go in that room again."
Mhm.
Exactly.
At least not by yourself, you know.
Correct. She didn't like going down there anyway, I think. So.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
she's not a big fan after you hit that hallway, man. She
Yeah.
don't go in the boiler room. She's like the boiler room's in there. If you guys want to
Right.
go in, go ahead. Like she's
Mhm.
not a fan of that hallway or any of the rooms back there on that hallway for sure.
Nope.
So that
For
would be somewhere to look at and go into to see what we can find down there. I'll bring my bat swatter. I'll catch the bat and let it go. I'm not going to kill it. Don't give me here. Go on here. Or I get in trouble with the bat people.
yeah. Yeah, not so much on that. Any last things from the Beattie Mansion?
As far as the history goes, I remember right after Armstrong died, the house turned over to Eliza. She couldn't afford to keep the house. Remember, she started selling off pieces of the property because that property was huge. You remember, right? It's like 10 acres or something, wasn't it, in that town? And so the buildings across the alley and everything all used to belong to that property. I remember her having to sell off stuff just to keep the house and to keep
Yeah,
paying taxes on it and so forth. I
yeah,
do
because
remember that part of that.
he left her the house and the property, but didn't leave her any money.
Correct.
Yeah,
Left it all to his nephew or something. I remember right. Yeah.
yeah, nieces and
Yeah.
nephews. Yeah, so yeah, it. I mean, it was cool that she got the house, and again, they added on, so it's like double the size that it originally was. Another interesting fact about them. about that place is there's no blueprints anywhere. They can't find any blueprints
Good.
to the house. And where the original outside door is, the stairs that would go upstairs are no longer in that position. They got repositioned.
Good.
But they're having troubles finding a blueprint to know the original um, layout of what the, like what each of the rooms were and all of that stuff
Yeah.
in the original house. But that
Yeah.
that building is like, what was it, 22,000 square feet or something?
Yep. Sure was.
Because
It's huge.
yeah, they built on the other side. I remember one thing when Tim took off and went over to the new side, and he was down on the first floor. I went up the stairs to put a camera in Armstrong's room. When I came out of the room, I heard Tim talking, and I thought he was down at the other end of the hall on the second floor. I go down there, and he's nowhere there. I go down the steps, and he's on the first floor. But it literally sounded like he was 10 feet away from me. It was so loud and so clear. So hearing voices in there, one, remember that when you're investigating, because you can, have cross-contamination. But two, you can audibly hear voices that may not be your people, like we were talking about earlier. It's actually pretty cool. I want to go back.
Yeah.
So
I
and do a
agree.
thing where we camp out in the bunk rooms. I'm ready to spend the night.
Yeah.
Why not?
St. Joe isn't too far from us. I don't know. It's like a 2.5, 3 hour drive.
Yeah.
But when you drive 3 hours down there, investigate for 10, 11 hours, and then drive 3 hours back, like that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's like going to Edinburgh Manor. Yeah.
Yeah. Edinburgh was brutal too.
Yeah.
So, and they do actually have bunk bedrooms that you guys can stay in. So we're definitely going to take that up. I'm usually not one that wants to partake in sleeping in the actual place, but I know Tim does. So if he can do it, I can do it. Brother, sister, got to do the thing. If he can do it, I can do it.
Wouldn't be
And
the first time.
if I'm tired enough, I'm going to sleep anyway.
I don't mind sleeping there as long as it's got a semi-clean place to lay down.
Yeah, the bunk room is actually pretty decent.
It is. It really is.
Decent. Excuse me. The one other thing I was going to say on that, I don't know.
Okay.
It flew out. Oh, I think the reason why I don't want to sleep in the haunted locations is because of all the activity that's going to happen while you're trying to sleep. But a lot of people do earplugs and they bring fans and stuff like that to create white noise to block out that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Just
Earplugs, I might.
Crawl in your sleeping bag and zip it clear over your head. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yep. Until you hear big bangs and all that other stuff happening.
That's when you get up and tell them to shut up. You can be quiet because you're trying to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've
I'm
done that
trying
too.
to sleep.
I've done that too. So
For sure. We can do this.
Or you can just make friends with them and they'll wrap you in a warm blanket and you can sleep for hours.
True.
there you go.
Tanya's good at that. Tanya's good at that. If you missed that, go back and watch the Edinburgh Manor episode. All right. Well, we made it through another week. Next week is Fairfield Infirmary. Tim and I went to that location. If you girls want to hop on to learn about it, you're more than welcome to. But we went out there. So we'll be on talking about that. That was some pretty interesting things. We did a collab. I might actually get a hold of Scott. I'll check in with Roger. I don't know if he ended up getting any evidence or whatever. But he may not want to be on that just because of that fact. But I know Scott was with us when we were getting a lot of stuff. So I'll reach out to Scott, see if he wants to be on the podcast next Sunday. And then he can join us, but because we can have up to 6 people on the screen. So
Okay,
I'll check in with him and see if anybody wants to be on.
sure.
Like I said, I don't know if Roger will want to be on, but I'll talk to him and ask him. He's had a lot of fibro flare-ups recently in the last couple months, so he may not be feeling up to it, even if he did want to. But anyway, we will go ahead and get on out of here. Hi.
Yeah.
You
Bye.
can watch the replay, but yeah, we're going to get ready to get off. Hang tight for me while I end it, and we will catch you next week, guys.
All right.
Bye.
See ya.